Yeah, the red Zerg player will be facing off against his opponent, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Inferno Pools, representing Root Gaming. It is your Teal Terran player, SuperNova. And we were just talking a little bit about this map in Inferno Pools and why some people don't like it. And I mean, I'm not one of those people who likes it, so it's a bit of an awkward map.
For sure. Yeah, 4-player map in general. Some pros will not like it just because spawn positions can kind of change everything. But the big thing about this map, too, that Tyrannus brought up is the 4th base as well. The fact that it is a gold base, it seems like that is more natural than trying to take another one. Because if you try to go and expand towards the south as a Zerg player, then you're going right towards SuperNova. And just kind of can get awkward and almost make that gold base a regular base. And I know that a lot of people will say that certain races will benefit more from a gold base than others. So I know Zerg being one of them, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough.
Just kind of makes it awkward.
Yeah, it is awkward. It's an awkward decision, and I mean, like, it's just not a safe 4th, and on such a big map, you'd expect it to be. But coming about these players right now, SuperNova is going to have one Reaper coming out as he asks for a pause. But this is kind of the standard. He's asking us to wait a little bit. It's kind of standard to put out a little bit more than just your first Reaper, maybe 1 or 2 Reapers to get a little extra damage in if you can, maybe get a drone, because they're really for their scouting. But, once you get another Reaper in there, maybe even 3, then it comes up to, okay, now I can actually go and, if you have 3, that's 2-shotting a drone. So, it gets up in there into actual harassment as opposed to just a scout. And I see a lot of guys doing this recently.
Me too. You can also kill a queen at that point. Inferno Pools also, if you look at it, I think that the reason, or at least I'm trying to see if he knows where Hydra, or rather where did the Impact spawn at. You can get a little bit annoying here just by getting right up into the main. It's almost like Catalina, where it's very easy to get into the base, and it's off of creep where you leave it. So
yeah, and I think
that's another thing that you can take into account.
Yeah, I don't think he saw the Overlord actually come into his base and scatter around, but he's sending the SEV on the opposite side of the map as his Reaper makes his way in here, and it's going to start going to work on 1 drone. And of course, if he gets even a single drone, it's going to be worth the extra bit of time that he's doing here. And of course, Impact is just pulling those 2 drones, almost catches the Reaper off a little bit with these 4 lings here. Yeah,
I mean, 6 lings. You know what I've noticed is that most people will just go ahead and make the 6 lings nowadays. It used to be only 4 or so, but those extra 2 lings, I don't even know if people have gotten a little bit more, I'd say, annoying with their Reapers as they do go for those drone kills and try to really get it. But I feel like Zerg have been a lot better at defending against it in general. So yeah, I always wonder with the 6 lings.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, Reapers is just it's more of a microable unit in the early game. Zerg doesn't really obviously have the unit that can counter that, so the only thing you can really do as this 3rd Reaper's making its way out onto the field of battle is that you can just go ahead and get yourself safe, get your early speed, your queens out, and then start getting your drones up and running, and it's a little bit more safe. And I think it's a solid choice. As 2 Reapers actually making their way. They might get caught a little bit in the main there. Now they're actually
that could have been really nice.
In the way.
But still, I don't believe even a drone has gone down, It's there goes a ling right now. And the queens are out, so it's a little bit more difficult too, but with that many Reapers, 3 is that magic number where you can really start getting dangerous with them. You delay your tech a little bit as a Terran player when you do it, so you almost do want to get a drone kill here. Getting the lings is okay and all, but you really are going for some more damage when you invest this heavily into the Reapers. You have to be very careful when speed is out too, because if you lose these, then that makes your follow-up push a lot weaker, because you want to combine them with the Hellions.
Yeah, and of course, Reapers are able to, they're able to regen health, but they're going to get, every single one of them is going to die here. That's massive.
Oh, so, that is so big.
Like you're talking about 50 minerals, 50 gas, 150. That's, at least a factory and maybe an add-on for a barracks there. So that's pretty huge. And 2 Hellions making their way onto the field. Had those Reapers been kept alive, they would have been, this would have been a lot stronger. He could be able to definitely get some poke damage done as these lings make their way across to do a little bit of a harassment, out of vision from these Hellions there. They're just down there in the bottom corner near the gold. Like you said, had the Reaper stayed alive, it would have been much stronger harassment. But
Hellions,
yeah, Cloaked Banshee on the way is the response from SuperNova. And the thing is I think he could have seen the researching speed. So he saw that it was going to be pretty much a pretty standard 6-minute speed timing. So I'm a little, maybe SuperNova's not completely on his game today.
Perhaps, and he is a player that does like to go for mech, so I feel like having those Reapers is really nice with this next follow-up push. just only because the Hellions are so much stronger with it, and then you get a Banshee in there as well, and get a second Banshee even, and then all of a sudden it can start to really get hectic here for the Zerg player, but that additional firepower won't be coming into play, and it even looks like Impact is ready for it.
You see what's going down from Impact? He's got Baneling Nest on the way and 2 base Spire.
Spire too.
Yeah, 2 base Spire. And he's already got Spore Crawlers in his mineral lines, and he's not going overboard on the drone production. 5 Banelings in production on the way, as well as this Spine Crawler and 3 Queens should be enough to dissuade Hellions from further pressuring. So this doesn't actually look good for SuperNova. If he doesn't know the Spire's there, and as these Lings make their way into the natural, they might pick up an SCV killer too. At least they're going to get a good scout off if they make their way into the main without the depots getting raised up. Now, those are pretty good reflexes from SuperNova, but I don't think SuperNova's going to like what he sees when these mutas come on the way.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be liking them at all. The Hellions are going to go here, and the Banelings were made in safety of Hellbat. He was potentially, you know, that is the potential that you always have to account for, that there could be Hellbats coming in with this push. And luckily for him, there weren't any in any case, just because there's no armory there just yet, I don't think. But I think that, there is an armory already, but so they do have the potential to go into that Hellbat mode.
So
however,
one thing I'm noticing
without
already
seeing that third, I would assume, right?
Yeah, the third is going to the gold, and one thing SuperNova is he saw the Spire, so he knows what he's up against, and instantly he started. He finished 2 Widow Mines, and he's getting turrets up right now. But that's a really interesting, gold. He's taking the gold as his third, a little bit out of the way. It's not right directly in front of the harassment from the Terran, and it might make things a little bit easier, especially if SuperNova doesn't see it early enough as these mutas make their way on the map and start doing what mutas do.
That is make Terrans cry all across the world. And there's a really good scout here from Impact. He saw the third base, but he still has not seen any additional factories, any additional barracks, so he's still in the dark as far as what tech path it may be, and he keeps on trying to find out. But these mutas are not only going to do some damage, or at least try to, but they will be able to get into the main, try to scalp. That's the main thing that he would love to see. But SuperNova hasn't shown anything yet, even to us. That Widow Mine, gotta be careful.
Yeah,
there's nothing to see here just yet, and I feel like SuperNova wants to deal with the mutas, make them feel like they can't come back in, and then kind of start into that attack. But there isn't one additional factory here so far.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, he's sticking with the Vikings, get the Hellions up. Impact might have just an inkling of an idea of what's going on, but like you said, he still hasn't really confirmed it, hasn't really gotten into the main just yet. But I did see that SuperNova did scout that the third base went down in that gold as Impact goes ahead and transfers drones over. I really like this. He went 2 base muta, and it just kind of shut down any early Banshee and Hellbat pressure, like pretty decently.
He didn't really have to.
Viking.
Yeah, he didn't have to deal with it too bad, and we have to be very careful with these mutas as they are trapped between Vikings and turrets, but it does seem like Impact knows what's up. He's got into the ranged upgrades, he's got the Roach Warren as well, and he's going to go transition, at least from mutas, into Roach. And I wonder if he's going to go into that, Roach Hydra style, or... because Infernal Pools is actually a very great map to do Roach Hydra on, just because of how wide open that natural is when they do push in. It's really hard to cover everything with siege tanks. And once you get that third base, I mean, it's a lot of locations to try to defend. So you can't just defend against them with small amounts of units like Ling run-bys or something.
Yeah, and this is a lot of roaches making their way as these 3 Banelings come up, and they might actually get past the supply depot, but they're all going to die before they get anything done. That turret is going to go down, but this is a lot of Hellions, some Banshees making their way across the map, but there's not enough anti-air to deal with these mutas, I don't think, as these Queens coming in support. 3 Queens with a bunch of transfuse energy, a lot of roaches making their way across, making extra special use of that gold income, and he's going to go ahead and see what he's going with, and he's going to attack up a ramp here. Vikings going to work on the Overseers as the Banshees are going to start to go to work on the Roaches. Roaches getting a really great concave on the Hellions, and this looks like it's going heavily in favor of our Zerg player.
Everything on the ground is going down here for SuperNova. Even the Vikings are kind of taking a lot of damage, and it doesn't even matter before the Queens even participate in the fight. GG is called. Alright, welcome back here to game number 2 of the first series of the day between these 2 wonderful players, one of which who is up by 1 in this best of 3 series. He represents Axiom, he represents Korea, his name is Impact.
And taking game one in actually some really not necessarily conventional style, 2-base Muta, 3-base Roach all in, one was gold on Inferno Pools. And his opponent, who didn't really like that, and GG'd out pretty early after seeing that amount of Roaches and losing a pretty big engagement. Representing Root Gaming, currently down 1-0. Starting off Deadwing in the upper right-hand corner it is, your Teal Terran player, SuperNova. And we already have some tomfoolery going down from him as the barracks is right in the middle, outside the range of the Xel'Naga Towers, but he doesn't obviously yet know where his opponent is, so we're going to see where he takes us, and he doesn't have any gas going down, so it looks like it's going to be some proxy racks into Marines.
Oh my god, alright, well, I know that we've watched players such as Masa do this a little bit closer to the south, but SuperNova is just putting it smack dab in the middle of the map, and maybe some Zerg players have gotten a little bit hot to that idea, sending an Overlord or maybe even a drone to check. But I believe this should be out of range of both of the Xel'Naga Towers. And unless you do send a drone scout, oh man, I'm not sure. Unless this Overlord, the Chosen One, could possibly be the one to see it. But it may even be bad to see it. Because exactly, he'll lose that Overlord, get supply blocked, and the push will already be on the way.
Yeah, and it's not actually a terrible situation, though, for Impact. I think he went spawning pool first, no gas, so actually just about in a great position. 6 Lings already pre-made, so just like the first game. And that's not a bad start for Impact without even knowing what's going on.
Yeah, this is the best start that he could ask for, and I don't even think he's doing it in anticipation of a 2-racks. It's more so because Deadwing is a big map. Mech players especially would love to go for Command Center first on it. And here he goes. Yeah, Supernova's going to be pretty sad when he sees these Lings here, because that SCV is supposed to be making a bunker. But how are you going to get a bunker when now you have to worry about your own safety, as there is no wall at home just yet? And that looks pretty normal. Seeing an SCV there seems kind of normal. So he can at least play off of that fact.
Yeah,
his Lings might get a little bit surprised. There you go.
I think Impact knows now what he's up against. I mean, I don't think he scouted it with the Overlord, but he saw the main. He saw that there's no producing units, so now obviously he knows the Marines are on the field, so there was no early Command Center taking on the natural. Now he's got a bit of a supply block here as Impact is making more units. The Lings are going to try and do a bit of a run by as the other Marines start to file into the fight. There's 4 Lings here and a couple more Marines than that. He might be able to catch a couple out as they're going in to reinforce, but now here we are, 2 SCVs and a couple of Marines. They're going to try and pick off another Overlord, and that would be a huge
that's going to be another supply block.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah. So this is pretty big, and I feel like Supernova's done a good amount of damage right here, but he's going to just still commit to this. Impact is, I would say, more than prepared just now, but he has to be so careful not to get too overzealous here. Wait for that Spine Crawler. May even want to pull the Queen from his main down, but I don't know. Supernova kind of pushing the issue here pretty heavily.
He's bringing the pain, it seems, but these Marines are not going to be able to do enough versus 3 Queens, and the Spine Crawler is actually going to unburrow and get into a better position now. So even though Supernova was able to pick off some Overlords and cause some havoc there, and we've still got, if you look at Impact's production tab, 7 drones on the way, he's not scared anymore. He feels like he's adequately, he feels like he's adequately prepared.
To a lesser player, right? You're like, oh my god, more units are coming, and then you force out a bunch more Lings because your Command Center is so far delayed. But Impact definitely keeping it cool under pressure.
Yeah, and that's a good point. It's a really tough for Zerg players to know when to continue to make drones, when to make just enough units, and it's not an issue other races face for obvious reasons. But it is something that once you get into the upper leagues of Zerg, you really get the feel for, okay, you know what, I've defended this, I know what he's going to be doing, and all that is obviously experience and playing the game. So well done.
So much
for
experience,
Impact. Yeah. Well done for him.
I would
though.
say so, especially starting out with that pool first, right? So
yeah. And a bit later speed, 648, and it's still on the way, but he's going to be really comfortable, and he should know that he's in a great position.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this Overlord was able to check. Yep, already saw the Command Center, and that could have been before he reacted to making the drones. So that information is so important to see. Is he going to commit to this very hard, or is he going to go into that Command Center and kind of pull it back into a macro game? Supernova looking like he really wants to go into the macro game with that double Command Center. Using
he made
a bit of it as the wall, so no Banelings should be able to. Well, if you have so many Banelings, you can do it, but I don't think you can make them at this point of the game.
I mean, 12 Lings on the way, and these Marines are still out on the field here. So, if all those Marines die, and the Lings are able to get into a good position, it might be able to make something work. But 2 barracks and a Command Center would require an absolute amazing amount of banelings at this point in the game, just like you said. As speed is finishing up, we're getting a third hatchery started in the pretty much the natural third position on this map for Zerg. Starport and a reactor on that factory going down. So it looks like more mech play come out of SuperNova and fairly standard macro come out of Impact.
Yeah, getting that third base, I think he sent out a scouting ling, seeing that that wall is not going to get blown up. And not like he had the means to do it just yet, but you make these lings just in case that there is some kind of crazy follow-up push coming that would try to surprise you. But nope, nothing of the sort coming from SuperNova. He made down that third command center, and it looks like he will just be going into... perhaps it is going to be mech, right? He did have some Hellions on the way, but a big thing to note is that he didn't get the tech lab on it, so... I mean on the starport, rather, so he's not going to go into that Cloak Banshee. And he has a lot of Marines that are kind of just hanging out, too, so who knows what he'll do from here.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to try and drop with some Hellions in the main and see if he can get some damage done there. But this is the absolute worst time, unbeknownst to him, to pick up that at CC because these Lings are going to make their way out, and they actually might catch these two Hellions with the Marines in support.
Whoa.
Great micro, though, from SuperNova and keeping those Hellions alive. It's pretty key to keep those early units alive because that's the maneuverability and the firepower that you need against this amount of Lings.
And you brought up that point of if those Lings had caught those Marines. Imagine if those Marines weren't there. That would have been a huge difference right there. Because there's nothing else but those two Hellions. And he would have had to micro his heart out. And it's pretty hard to do so when you're actually backed up into your own base. You're not on the middle of the map in that situation.
Yeah, now we've just got a bunch of Marines, a medevac, and two Hellions, now joined by two more that are going to make a push at the same time. It looks like there was almost a counterling run by, but Hellbat's coming up because they have the armory, and now they're going to start going to town on the Spinecrawler as the Lings are actually pulled back, so we're going to see a counterattack from the back. Talk us through the engagement.
All right, well, the Marines are coming through. There are a lot of Queens here. The Spinecrawler did go down, and with the Lings coming from the back, they're kind of hesitating, perhaps trying to pick off some of these reinforcements. But the real issue here is that there are so many Marines here. The fact that they're still alive, that one medevac is having them be able to stay alive even longer, but it's really going to be up to the Queens. The transfuses, the fact that this third has been kind of evacuated is pretty bad here for Impact because the third base of SuperNova is going up behind all of this.
Ooh, in come the Banelings. Wow. The splits on creep are decent, and these are slow Banelings. They're still pretty good on creep, getting a bunch of Marines there, and that looks like it's going to put an end to this as the medevac goes down. More Banelings come in to take out this final Hellbat, getting cleaned up by Lings, and he was actually able to keep that alive. Like you said, I think that was a testament to the control with his Queens there. Transfuses going down, and, well, that was a great hold from Impact, because that looked really almost game-ending for a little bit.
So scary, especially because your Lings are on the other side of the map, and you can't make Banelings in order to deal with the Hellbat. So he was patient, picked off the reinforcements, made Banelings at home, and kind of just bought time. That Spinecrawler was not there. That could have been a lot more uglier, so... we're at this 3-base versus 3-base situation, which is never a good situation. That we always say that in TVZ, but it's even worse when it's mech. I feel like because on a map like Deadwing, he's relatively safe right now. The Spire is so late. If that's going to be his choice of tech, the Roach Warren is so late. There's no timing coming here. And there is a big drop here. Well, not a big drop, but a moderately sized drop because of those two Hellbats that are there, having a beef with that extractor too. Maybe doing some Zerg tactics that we do against Terran players to minimize how much gas income they can get.
Yeah, finally cleaned up by Banelings, and the medevac wasn't able to support. There is a counterattack going down in the third of SuperNovas here. If we can cycle out there, a little bit of Lings coming in, getting some kills for free as these Hellions and Banshee are now going to be able to have to make their way back and deal with that. But like you said, this is a pretty safe mech expansion, and especially since SuperNova is taking a super aggressive mech style play, he's not like sitting back and getting siege tanks and getting Ravens, and you know he's really amping up the pressure. He's getting attacking units, he's getting Hellbats and Cloak Banshees, and these units that like to go in and do damage, and if you control them well, can do damage. And that's what he's doing. Hellbats do actually pretty damn well versus Queens, but that's a lot of Banelings there, morphed in defense. And you know what? I think SuperNova sees that and says, you know what, this is probably not the best idea to go into that.
He's going to use the Banshees instead. If he denies his fourth even more, that is so great. And he does get it, and he's going to get the drone too. Wow, SuperNova is looking a lot better in this game. The difference between going Roach at this stage is that SuperNova is already established his third. He's starting to get his production out. He's kind of favoring the Hellbats pretty heavily, and I haven't seen anything else made. Oh, it looks like there's a gigantic supply block here as he's trying to make 3 Thors at a time.
Oh, man.
So he's going to be expecting the Mutas, and if Impact can kind of throw him for a loop, he will be able to force out those Thors with the Mutas, but then maybe only make a few Mutas and just go all in with the roaches.
And that's
do as
pretty
much
much
damage as he can.
That's pretty much what he did last game to great effect. It was obviously a much different feel to the game as the Banshees shoot away. Ling's coming into the third of SuperNova. There we go. Now they're going to be shoot away from the Hellbats a little bit. We've got two Banshees actually stayed alive between the two of them as those Lings were stopped. Now the muta's coming into play. There's three of them. Not in the best position to attack as they're going right at a turret. He might lose one already. That's never a good thing. He might lose a second.
Oh, the Banshee doesn't even go down.
Wow.
Oh my god.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
You want to get your mutas, of course, to like a culminating mass, and that doesn't look like a culminating mass to me.
Not at all, and I'm sure that SuperNova has been in the situation where you don't invest too much into the Thors. He is going to go be making a lot of them, but he has to know the economic position that he's forced impact into, and if he has nothing that can really deal with the mass amount of roaches except for the Banshees, so I hope that these last Thors these three Thors are the last ones that he makes, because 11 Overlords just were made from impact, as he's going to try to just max out on roaches.
Yeah, he's pushing roaches right now, and they're making their way on the map as even 12 more in production, as there's already some coming out. It's going to be a Baneling roach push. Not a lot of Banelings, but they're still going to make up a little bit of this army, maybe to clear out some initial Hellbats to get those roaches in on top of the main support of the army here. Of course, we're getting the upgrades in. Now 2 siege tanks on the way, so that's the response to deal with these roaches as the medevac makes its way onto the map with 2 Hellbats inside to see what type of damage he can get done. Supplies are pretty similar. Impact was a little bit behind, but that's just because he was getting his tech up and going with his larva and his economy as well to really supplement that, as these mutas are actually going to catch that medevac because he had a Ling at the Zell Naga Tower, so that's a great pickup from him. As I think the engagement is going to happen here in about a minute or so.
Whoa, and if SuperNova's pushing out for it, this is even better. Oh, this is so much better here. This is the best thing that Impact could ask for. He is mining off of the 4th base, so catching this attack and just kind of obliterating it would put him back into the game. It looked like he was in a really bad position here. Don't be fooled by the supply. Just because it looks like it's maxed out, it's mainly roaches here. And I think the one thing that he has going for him is that there is a really low siege tank count. So if he extends onto creep, SuperNova that is, and Impact gets a really nice surround, things are not going to be very good here for SuperNova.
Scan goes down. Incoming Banelings. Roach is going to make a concave as well. The siege tanks aren't sieging up. The Banelings absolutely obliterate the Hellbats. Now it's just Thors and siege tanks. And like you said, the siege tank numbers aren't enough. This looks like it's going to win the game for Impact.
Yeah, he's going to clean this whole force up. The siege tank is going to go down. Another Thor goes down as they don't do that great against roaches. And this is a great trade here for Impact, as he does push that whole force all the way back home. Wow, I don't think that SuperNova expected that amount of units to be out for Impact.
Oh no, I didn't expect that amount of units to be out for Impact. That was
Me neither, I'm not gonna lie.
He fought just on the edge of creep. He was able to get his units in a fantastic position, and SuperNova's producing units at a time. 4 Hellbats, 2 siege tanks, and a Thor and a Banshee. So it's not like his economy's in the tanks just yet. But if you're a mech player and you lose that amount of your army, it is never a good thing.
Never at all, as he tries to, he was hoping that maybe he would do some damage, get the 4th, cripple Impact, but now looks like SuperNova may be the one that is crippled, but these Banshees may be the MVP of this game if they're able to clean up these roaches in time.
It's just
the
so
Queens
many
are
roaches.
once again moving across the map.
Yeah, and it's so many roaches, and these Banshees don't have enough firepower. It's just the 4 of them. They're going to be basically targeting down a single roach at a time, and GG is called. Axe Impact taking Series 1, 2-0 in absolutely stellar fashion. Great Muta Roach play, basically both games.